Oh, dang it.
I kinda just took the day off. Went grocery shopping, and other than that, pretty much stayed home. Oh yeah, and we had a nurse visit to keep up with like Medicaid and stuff, because you have to do it yearly unless you get hospitalized, and then you gotta do it then too. Which is kind of funny, because if you're checked out by a doctor, why do you need to be checked out by a nurse later? I don't know. You think the government would have access to your medical records, but whatever. So I haven't uploaded a whole lot on the previous channel. There is a lot of stuff that I want to do. Like I was telling you a couple days ago about writing the books. I want to get that done. And for me right now, I have been trying to figure out how to get somewhere. I have a lot of knowledge, I've read a lot, I know a lot, but trying to live everything is kind of hard. So, what I'm wanting to do for now is pretty much focus on the book of John, or whatever John wrote. So I've got like 4 books, but I don't know, I think it's funny. A lot of people like to worship Paul and say, oh, he's the greatest guy ever. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, had visions and all this other stuff, and just because he wrote the majority of the New Testament doesn't make him the greatest. I would dare say that John was the greatest. And it's not like he tooted his own horn or something, saying that the disciple that he loved or whatever. But he seemed to be in the closest circle, the most intimate. He was the only one that didn't abandon Jesus out in the Garden of Gethsemane when they took him. He followed them. He went into the trial. And then, of course, he had an awesome vision of Revelation. And, yeah. He seems to know what's going on. I also think it's funny that scripture says that all the disciples fell asleep, but apparently John at least heard enough or was awake long enough to write some of his prayer down. So, thought that was cool. So, I'm focusing on like Jesus' prayer and the Garden of Gethsemane, and a few chapters before that, talking about abiding in the vine, and wanting to just figure out how to love, let go of bitterness, and expect to see God move. And one thing I was looking up earlier today, I thought it was funny that one of Jesus' first miracles was turning water into wine. Like, a lot of people are afraid to pray for little things from God, and I think it's funny that his first miracle was probably one of the most trivial things that he could ever do. We ran out of drinks for a party. Could you make some more wine? And not only does he do it, he makes it the best. I don't understand why people think that they can't pray about the little things when Jesus talks about knowing how many hairs are on our head at any given moment, and that a sparrow doesn't fall to the ground without God knowing about it. So if God's detail-oriented, why wouldn't he want to go ahead and fulfill whatever it was that you are hoping for? So I thought that was cool. And then one of the other things, I don't think this is in John, I think it might have been in Mark. Not sure. I was going throughout all the Gospels trying to look up something. But you know how in Matthew, Jesus was calling the disciples while they were mending their nets, and then they left everything to follow him? Thought it was funny. If you read in another gospel, you find out why they were mending their nets. Jesus went into one of those boats and was trying to preach a sermon because the crowds were, pressing in around him. So he got into a boat and went out, a few feet. And then after he was done talking, ask the disciples to be, have you caught any fish? They're like, no, we worked all night, didn't catch anything. It's like, try the other side. They pull on a catch so great that their nets can't hold it and they're breaking. So that's why they were mending their nets. Thought it was funny. Before Jesus calls them, they're in lack, they're having trouble fishing, he provides more than they could handle. Then he says, leave everything and follow me. Thought that was cool. Because, a lot of people would be afraid, I don't know the person, well, he just taught and he was the Messiah. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do for food, don't worry, I can make your business explode, God's the provider, I'm going to go ahead and take care of it. And so they're willing to leave everything knowing that he's going to provide everything, got to see it right then and there. So, yeah, praying for provision. Like, these miracles and stuff I already knew, but I didn't think a whole lot about it. So, I'm seeking an answer to a couple things. And I figured you guys could probably use a story too if you're like struggling or something for the holidays and trying to find money for gifts or just bills or whatever piling up, that would be encouraging, knowing that he'd be a provider and also able to take care of even trivial things. So it is after midnight. I need to go to sleep. I just thought it'd be cool to do a one take and maybe upload this on both channels. If you didn't know I had a second channel, it's kind of like what I just did, and I'll try to remember to go ahead and put a link in the description below or like here. So yeah.
I'm signing a few things.
Oh. So what do you want to tell them?
I got Mario Kart, Pokemon, Super Smash Brothers, and the night game, Pikmin, Mario games. But I haven't even played Mario. Animal Crossing or Donkey Kong. Or Batman 3 or Sonic the Hedgehog. What have you played night games? And have you played Skylanders? Oh, okay. I got it. Pikmin!